Hello, and welcome back to video 8 in this series of creative junk journaling. Now, my plan to go into this series was to create 10 videos, and that still is the plan, and I hope to kind of wrap it up. I know here where we are at, they're trying to get us back into our daily lives. They're going to extend the grocery stores. This is during the COVID-19. But I wanted to kind of wrap it up before we started slowly getting back to our normal lives. And so I hope to continue to encourage junk journaling, and I'm sure there will be many other videos after this particular series. But so I think I'm gonna be doing paint in this one, and then I'm gonna be talking about ephemera, and then I like to call it the frosting, which is like adding charms and little things like that to your journals. And so that will probably be the last video that I'll be doing. So today's video is about paint. This is absolutely one of my favorite things to do in my journals. I just love paintbrushes. I mean, like holding them, painting with them. It doesn't matter if it's just blobbing paint on the page or doing stencils or anything like that. I just love to paint. So I have a couple samples here that I wanted to show you guys today of different ways that I have added paint in the past. So as you know, let me see if I can put that up there. As you know, watercolor is a favorite. So this is just one that I had, this was back when I was doing, I had purchased this particular planner journal from, I think, Yellow Paper House. They can be found on Etsy. They also, I think they can be found on Etsy. I know they have their own website as well. And I love their journals, and because they come just with craft paper, and then you can decorate it up as you wish. So most of this is full of watercolor, just different bloppings and things like that. And then I covered the outside with this owl, which is a kind of a mixed media piece. It's acrylic paint, and then I put paper on top of it as well for the glasses and the eyes and things like that. So that's one sample. Here's another one. This is also watercolor in the background, and then this is actually watercolor pumpkin that I came in through with ink, and I you know, made it more you can defined, I guess, the defined look of the leaves and things like that. But again, this is, you know, more watercolor adding to the pages. Here's one that I've done watercolor on the background, and then I outlined a stencil that I have. So that's another way to add paint. This is one that I just did flowers. I kind of painted some just yellow swirls, which I'm hoping to do that in today's little video that I'm going to be doing. And then I just added some watercolor. So definitely using a lot of watercolor in here in these journals. Now, this is also one acrylic paint, watercolor background. I love to do girls. In fact, today I'm going to be doing a girl to show an example of different paint that you can add in here. This is also, again, paint with cut out. These are actually punches, so I just punched that for a scene there, and then more watercolor on this particular background. And then I'm going to run out of space to put journal. And then this particular journal cover is a this is kind of what I'm going to be doing today, but I think this is tissue paper in the background, and then I just came over with, this is a piece of cardstock and a piece of hymnal paper, and then I basically used watercolor for her as well. So this is kind of more watercolor. This is kind of what I'm going to be showing you guys today. This is actually marker that I used. And then this is another girl face that I have. I put hymnal paper in the back, or music paper, and then I came over with acrylic. Her particular shirt here is a piece of cardstock. but again, just more watercolor. This was one that I cut out of a journaling card. Oh, here's a house that I drew. I actually kind of was wondering if I should do a house. I am doing a theme, kind of a house theme to go with this, but this is one that I did at Christmas for a little candy house. But so yeah, so definitely lots and lots of different ideas that you can use for particular ways to add paper. I mean, add watercolor. So, add paint, excuse me, not just watercolor. So this is part of my April, this is the one I've been working in while I do this series. This is my April planner, I mean not planner, but journal. And so I'm going to just kind of show you guys how I'm going to do a girl. So I am actually, since we've been staying home during this whole event, I wanted to do something with the house. So I actually have these in my shop, which you can definitely, no, I don't really have a place to put all these journals I have. These are things that I have in my shop, but I also see, if you're not comfortable drawing or coloring a house, they also have tons and tons of different cardstock out there and different things you can cut out. So, and you know, these aren't complex houses. They are very doable, you know, just like your little stick houses and things like that. And if you're going to paint them, just kind of, I mean, what I like to do is just take each shape and cut it, or don't look at it as a whole if you're not familiar with, you know, making different kind of things and you're like, oh, I can't even draw stick figures. These are, you know, this is such a simple looking house. It's a rectangle with a, you don't even have to do that kind of roof on it. So you could put a triangle roof. You can make your own little houses to make your pages creative. You know, they don't have to be perfect. But these are some that I had. I did a Let's Stay Home CWR kit, I guess back, it might have been 2 years ago. But anyway, these are some of, I also have stickers, which I've been using those in my my journal, but I'm going to be using one of these particular houses as part of my page. Again, if you look, this is very simple. It's a, you know, it's not then too complex, but I'll be using one of these little houses in this page. So you can also just you can paint your own. I just kind of wanted to do a video that won't maybe not take as long as these videos have been taking, but I know some of you guys don't mind. I always feel like, oh my goodness, how did that become almost an hour long? So I'm going to start with a body of my girl. So I think what I'm going to do is, I love this paper. I bought this and I haven't used any of it, so I think I'm gonna open it up and we're gonna use a page. Now this is actually Carta Bella paper, and so it's a little thicker than your average paper, but I noticed I actually bought it for these designs on the back, but I love it. I saw this on the other side and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so pretty, and I haven't even opened the package. So we're going to be using that today for our dress. So let's see here. We got this. I can get a pencil here and just kind of sketch out her body, the length of it, just so you kind of give an idea of what you're working with. I really need my better scissors. Let me see if I can find those. Okay. So I'm just going to cut along here. And that's the fun thing about designing these pages, is you can make them any way you want. I always enjoy creating the little outfits for the girls. And so I always find that fun. So I'm going to kind of think about how I want her dressed. She's going to be holding the house, so I'm going to have it just kind of come down like this. And then I think I'm going to have it flare out like that. I used to call these my big body girls. I have a whole series of those, of the girls. I've used some of them in kits that I have, but their dress is like what takes up the whole page, and I love it. It looks so cute. So I'm going to... Now, one of the ideas that I thought about doing too is, going back to the series, is even though I'm going to make it a wrap as far as having the basically kind of wrapping up the videos, you know, series, I do want to plan. I thought about going, well, I could just make it, I can make more videos, and basically I'm going to be doing a lot more like journal with me series, but I didn't want to, I kind of wanted to wrap the name of this one up, so that way there is like a kind of a beginning and an end to it. So I'm just using some regular glue to put down with her, and then I'm going to come in and draw a neck, and then just do her head. Now when you're doing this, just keep in mind of her hairline and things like that, so you want to have definitely enough room. And this is where it's fun. You can do any kind of hair that you want. You can do, I always typically, you can do curly, you can do straight. I like doing a bun. Shall we do curly hair? Let's do some curly hair. Or maybe this. It's amazing how it kind of just takes on a world of its own as you start creating. Okay. So I kind of have an outline there. I'm going to just kind of look through here and pick out the house. These actually may be a little, well, they're not too big. I was worried about them being a little too big for her. They almost are a little too big. See, this is what I'm kind of looking at, is this is the little girl that I did prior to, I think I'll do that one. Okay, so we'll put that aside, and we're going to come in and do some coloring on her face. Now, a lot of times when I'm doing canvases and stuff, I will actually come in here and do like like a gesso, an acrylic, or a white paint to make sure that the painting can get onto her correct, like it'll really basically, because a lot of times when I'm doing acrylic I have paper in the background and I don't want that paper to see through her face, but with this being a white background I don't really feel like that's necessary. So this is a folk art. I use a folk art, I use Americana, so, you know, just different ones that I see. I pick them up. This is a skin tone color. You can definitely add any color skin tone that you want. Keep that in mind when you're picking it out. There's also this that I really like to use, is a, let's see here, if I can find it. Oh, here we go. This is this flesh yellow that I like to use. Sometimes I'll come back in and add that. It adds a little bit darker, not so light. You can do different color shadowing. So I'm just going to come in here and fill in her face. keep in mind, as I always say, if you make, if you do something that, you added too much one direction or another of her face, say for instance, once it dries, you can cover up and continue to cover up because it's pretty forgiving working with acrylics. Okay. Then, and I have a lot of paintbrushes, so basically by the end of my painting, typically I will have a whole stack of paint brushes that I use because you can clean them as you go, but I buy them in sets. I don't buy expensive ones because I'm not a good paintbrush mom, so to speak, because I will leave them in the water, sitting in the water overnight, because a lot of times I'm painting late at night. I'm just kind of coming in here at this point now, and I am just covering her dress. It's a little brighter than what I had anticipated, but I'm okay with that. And this is a bright pink. Obviously this is the other pink I pulled out. I must be liking this bright pink though. And that's a fun thing, especially when you're doing canvases and stuff. If you're using cardstock and you don't like what you eventually, because I've had where I pulled out different colors. I'm not a big peach fan, and I've had where I will pull out different cardstock and I don't like that background. You can always change it with paint. So I'm just kind of filling this in like that. Okay, so for her hair, I'm going to do this crimson color, and then I'm going to come in and put like different highlights in it once I get it colored in. Sometimes this paint clumps up on me pretty good. So yeah, so here in Texas, our governor came on, I guess it was yesterday, and they're going to try to start opening up retail, like to go, and so they're going to start trying to open things back up, get the economy going back, which we were talking about it yesterday, and I was like, what exactly do I miss the most from this COVID-19 and having everything closed down? Now, I've been really fortunate to be able to work from home, so that hasn't affected me in that way, even though I love being at home because, you would think, I have been organizing my craft room, but I think everything that I've missed the most is getting my hair done, and because I was way overdue anyway for it, and I was scheduled to get my hair done like that week that everything closed down, and so I missed that. I miss having my eyebrows done. It's stuff like that I just have always done. So it's a pink. I think what I might do is come in here with almost a white. I'm just going to pull out some paint here. Some white or cream for the flowers to lighten it up a little bit. just kind of adding, just so we're not so pink, although I would be completely okay with all pink. But just to kind of lighten that up a little bit, I'm going to add a little bit of cream color on top. That's what's fun about this acrylic paint too, is it's super, it dries fairly quickly. Okay. Okie dokie, let's see here. So we're going to come in with green. And this is one of my favorite color greens. It's called Sour Apple. It's not a dark green, and it just really seems to lighten things up a little bit. I use it a lot. And I'll use it with other greens as well. And I'll show you that. So I'm just going to add the little leaves that were part of this little design. Now you could, if you don't have cardstock or any kind of paper, which I know we all kind of do, you can create your own flowers. And I'll show you how to do that here in just a minute, because I'm going to put a headband on her. And I'm going to just kind of do some random little flowers. Then this is bright yellow. I don't know, with the yellow, I use it a lot. I love yellow. And I noticed that a lot of times they're very transparent, so you have to typically maybe have to come over and do a few layers with the yellow, but this seems to be covering it up fairly good. And what's fun about doing these girls as well is you can, if you saw like in my other pages, I mean, it's so seasonal. If you had a fall or Halloween or Christmas or Easter, you could come in and do seasonal girls. You can make their outfits more seasonal, or there's so many different ways to fill in her dresses and make them more personable. Okay, so let's see here. I think I might do one more coat of this crimson color on her hair. I think it's just the paint, because typically this is a pretty thick paint, but it seems like it's pretty runny, so I think that's why it's not covering as well as it typically should. Which is okay. Okay. So we're going to let that dry, and let's see here. We're going to come in and add some shadowing on her. Where's that one tube of paint? Oh, it was a little darker than what I had anticipated. I will show you how to do some blending. Add a little bit of water. Whoop, got Put some red in there. Okay. We're going to let that dry. Maybe come in and, actually I kind of really like the coloring. Okay. So, I think at this point we're going to need to let her dry a little bit. So let's do that, probably about 5 minutes, and then we'll come in and fill her in. Let's see how she looks so far with her house. Looks good, right? Let's see what we got. You know, I'm like wanting to use the pink house, but I think the pink house may be too big. Let's see. That actually may look really good. It really brings out that green. Before we let it dry, let's, I was going to show you how I was going to use a little bit of dark green. What color is this? This is bluegrass green. You can use this. And just add, paintbrush may be too thick here. This is really a blue-green, but just kind of add just a different shade or two in there. I may come back and do my green again because it really covers that up, but so what I think I'm going to do is get this and then go ahead and paint her. It's just going to see what's on the other side. Go ahead and paint her background with some watercolor. Let's see what I got here while I let that dry. And that way we have both areas drying at the same time. So these are actually by Illustrated Faith. And I'm thinking I might do a yellow background. And these are Prima, the woodland colors. Those are a little too muted. And these are actually ones that I really like too. I use these quite a bit. This is really inexpensive from Hobby Lobby. This is that Master Touch. So I think between the two we will paint her background. Now typically I would use some different water too. So let me go get me, I might have some, I always try to keep bottled water in my studio, so I have it. Let me go get some water. Okay, so this is the paintbrush I use for watercoloring, and I have shown my blotchiness on here before, but in case you're new to it, I have no rhyme or reason to how I watercolor. I basically just add a lot of water and I just do like a little blotchy action. And that way sometimes, and I am okay, see I just flung that on that other side. I'm okay with getting it, I love watercolor. I love the way it makes my paper feel. Look how beautiful that vibrant yellow is. See, I just love this inexpensive paint brushes. I know, now I don't have, not paintbrushes, watercolor. Now I do not have any real expensive. I think those Prima watercolors are the most expensive I have, and I know I haven't ever used, I think it's David Smith, which is like the olive watercolors. So I don't have anything to compare them to, but for what I do, I think this works perfect. Any kind of, now the inexpensive ones, I've used those too because I love the pink in it. They are, you can get them at Michael's and stuff. I think they are like, what, how much are they, like $5 or something? I use those too. In fact, whenever I do, like if I sponsor tables and stuff, sometimes I'll just put those out there, because when you're getting introduced to watercolor, they are great. Plus, I have yet to find one that feeds my pink, my love of pink, so, and it does. Let's see if I can show you guys a sample real quick. Here we go. These. So these are fine too. They just leave kind of a chalky residue, but you can get them on Amazon. See, they're just as vibrant. Like I said, I'm not too picky, other than the fact that sometimes with my journaling, I don't like the feel of, when you turn the pages, you have chalk residue on your hand. So, but it's just as pretty. Okay, but look at the pink. Isn't it amazing? Let's go ahead and use it. Now, I like this pink. Happily We Go. She's this tiny, I don't even know if she does, I need to check with her. She is a beautiful artist. Major, I mean, just, she's amazing. But she's here in Central Texas, and I've met her through planner groups, and she, I've bought watercolor from her before and absolutely love it. For some reason this pink is not showing up very good on this, with this yellow background. Let's work it together, get more, I guess the combination, right? Orange, it's making it orange because it's still wet. Let's add a little bit in here. Alright, so we're going to let that background dry, and we'll come back and finish her up. See, the dress is already dry. I'm telling you, the acrylic, except for maybe that spot there. The acrylic is pretty amazing. I'm going to come back in and add, actually, while I still have you guys on here, go ahead and add a little bit more of my lime green, since that bluegrass green was very dominant on my pages, and I just want to kind of bring that lime green back a little bit. Okay, so see how it's looking. We'll be back. Alright, so the watercolor has dried, and I'm going to come in here and kind of just outline her face. I did come over and repaint over with a skin tone, just because the other one was a little dark, and so I went ahead, and again, you can change the skin tone however you would like, your girl. So I'm just going to kind of like take a pencil and just kind of figure out exactly where I want her face. And that way you get an idea when you start filling it in. Chins are always difficult for me. We laugh because most of the time I don't. Oh no, the pencil kind of messed up on here. Not a problem. We will work on getting that fixed. Like I said, the paint, I usually have a special eraser that I like to use, but ever since I've been moving my room around, I haven't been able to change it. So, but we can just kind of pencil it in. We laugh because a lot of they make fun of my girls because, or my family does, because they're like, oh, they don't have any chins, haha. Anyway, so I like to use these watercolor, pull these down so you can see them. These are Faber-Castell watercolor pencils, and I like to use them too, to kind of come in and add some different coloring. her hairline. And what's nice about these is then you can go in and use your water and create a shadow type instead of the harsh coloring. So, like, I'll get a real thin paintbrush here. And it just kind of adds more of the shadow look versus that real harsh coloring. I don't like the way that pencil is. See if we can get that off of there. Find a little baby wipe here. Oops, sorry. Hit the camera. And that's what's good about paint is that if you don't like it, you can come in and paint over it. Just like that, and do over. So let's go ahead and work on. Kind of thought about doing her eyes a little opened here. They do take a lot more steps, in my opinion, but I think they'll be okay. So I'm just going to kind of fill them in. Okay, so find my thinner paintbrushes up here. And we're going to start out by getting a white. Probably need to shake this up just a little bit here. I'm just going to come in here and fill this up just a little bit on each side of the eye, maybe over the top a little bit. Actually, I'm just going to fill it in. That way when I come in here with the color, I can just add the color to it. Okay. Creepy, ghostly lady. So I'm going to give her some blue eyes. This looks really pretty. Either this. I think this is the same. Yeah, that came in blue. I'll tell you what I like about this paint, this particular multi-surface, is it does paint on, like, I used them to paint the clips if y'all saw on Instagram or Facebook this past You Take the Cake CWR kit. I painted clips. Of course, I did put a gesso, I did put it like a gesso base down. But these cover so good. I didn't have to do hardly any of the treated surface like I would have normally had to do. I mean, several of the layers. I did treat with gesso, but I was thinking about having to do all the layers. Gonna get a paper towel. Okay, so I'm gonna get the black, And this is where I have to really work on the eyes. I'm just kind of drawing circles within the circle. And the thing is if you want the blue to come out more, we can add more blue. Okay, I'll get that to dry. We'll add her some lips. I think I'm going to use the same dragon fruit for her lips. Her lips will match her dress. It's not that bright pink, but I always do heart shapes. That's kind of like my favorite. Okay, let's get her some cheeks. I usually have this really, I'll see if I can find it. Sometimes I use this coral shell, but that looks a little too peachy. Let's see. I haven't used it in a while, actually, to be honest. It's a kind of a coral color, but what we can do is just use a lighter pink. What is this? Festival pink. This will work. It's more of a, here we go, the terracotta. That's what I use for her cheeks. Terra Coral. Yeah, I haven't used it in a while. I can tell it's very watery on top, so we'll just shake that up a little bit more. Now, if you're not big fans of the big round circles, you can definitely do just some smudging for the blush. Let's go back in and use the pencil again since that's probably a little dry. Actually, the paper is a little still moist. Okay. There's my thin. Let's see. If I had even a thinner paintbrush, we can come back in and fill in more of that blue on our eyes. I remember I used to always want to have thin paintbrushes because as a kid, you know, most of them came with the old watercolors. Whoops. And I used to always go, oh, I just need a thin paintbrush. Okay, we'll come back in and fill in that black a little more. Now I'm going to outline this in ink, so that's gonna cover some of the lines. Okay, now focusing back on her hair, let's come in and do a couple of dark shading. This is a different kind of red. Let's see what we got. Ooh. This is Santa Red, and this is really old paint because can't even tell the difference. But it is kind of filling those up. I think I need a better paint. You can throw that one away. Here's a berry red. And really it's just kind of coming in here and adding a little bit more redness to her hair. Again, keep in mind I'm going to do the pin that come through on the pin as well. Okay, so while that's drying, we're going to take our little house, get that old paint off, and she's going to have her hands. We're going to act like this is the dress. Let's get a pink pencil. We're going to act like this is the end of the dress, right? So her hands can kind of hold that, the dresser. Okay, so I'm going to come back in here with my skin tone. Ooh. Black. Sometimes I can come in here and grab another paintbrush if I didn't use a dark color on it. And we're going to just add some coloring of the hands just so it shows it. As you can see, I'm not making any shape because it's going to be like a cup, like it's kind of holding, the hands are being flat and it's holding the house. Just like that. Okay, so let's see what's next. Then we can take, ooh, sugared strawberry. I haven't used, some of these I got for Christmas and I haven't used, so we're gonna pop that little green part off and use some of these Watercolor by Vicki Bolton. Now I don't think I've used any of hers. I have used the what brand is it? Oh, I gotta squeeze. Let's see if I can find the other brand that I've used. That's Vicki Bolton. Maybe they are. Oh, Jane Davenport. So these are new. I'm excited about this. Okay. Oops, bled through. Not a problem, you guys. I'll just come in and either add paper on there or something. So I'm just going to come in here and outline my dress with this watercolor marker. And that way it gives it shape. Now if you don't have these, don't feel like you have to go buy them. You can use regular watercolor. You can use paint, watered down paint, a darker shade of paint. That would work just as fine too. I've done that a lot. I can actually use this in her hair. To kind of add some different shadows in there. Add a little bit more definition. Remember, I'm going to come in here back with pink, so that's, pen, so that's really going to do the trick here. Okay. There. And no leaking. That's excellent. Excellent, excellent. I used to have like a skin tone in here too. Seems like I used it. This is one of the Jane Davenport ones. It's kind of a skin tone. And what's kind of fun about these too is, especially since you do, you know, you have those watercolor, they look just like this, but you just put water in there and you use it with watercolor. Those work perfect for this too, because you could come in here with pencil, just like I did, and add your coloring I'm sorry, the coloring of the pencil, and then you can add your the water, and it does just the same thing. Okay, we're going to outline that. Let's get some white and add a little bit of white to her eyes, just so they don't look so dark. Find me another fine tip. Where are all my fine tip paints? Have I used them all already? I usually have quite a bit. Let's see what I can find in my... Let's use this one. Okay. Add just a little bit of... Softens up her eyes just a little bit. And then again, we can use the blue around her eyes for shading. Just coming in here and kind of adding more red. Okay. So let's see, what else do we have to add before we do the pen? Now on the background, I think what I'm going to do, I wanted to show you guys, this was my little pink, remember the pink I was telling you guys about? Favorite watercolor. I was going to just add it. But I think what I'm going to do is add the wording behind her. So that way, that will be my journaling. Place to journal just behind her. Okay, so we're going to add the little house. Almost kind of like her without the house, to be honest. But it's about staying home. It's about being in the house. So that's what I'm going to be journaling about. And like I said, you could draw your own house. You could, there's lots of options. You could have her with flowers or anything like that. So, whoops. Good night. Okay. I wonder, do you think I should put that flat more like that? I have to come in and adjust her hands. You guys seeing it? I'm not working. I have a tendency to put all my paints there, and then before you know it, I've worked myself off of my work table. Okay. Let's do a headband. That's what I was going to do, because I was going to show you guys how to do the flowers. So we're going to come in here with some green. And I'm going to, actually, let's do the flowers first. I'm going to do some of this bluegrass. I'm going to use it though as a, man, that stuff is watery. I'm going to use it more as a base. And I'm just doing little, kind of like little fans out, just as a base, but it's kind of looking, I was going to use it as a flower, but it may be better. as a backdrop for may have to get that to dry a little bit. Okay, so we may have to get to dry before we add some more color. While we're doing that, I'm going to add a little bit of white to her dress. Just to brighten it up a little bit here and there. Okay. Alright. See how we're doing on her head. It's still having to dry a little bit. Okay, so we're going to let that dry, and then we'll come back, finish up her headband, and do her outline, and then we'll be done. Alright, so now that that's dry, we're going to come in here and we're going to brighten up that headband with some pink and some yellow. This is kind of a bright pink. I'm just gonna, again, just using the little sprays, like kind of like a star, but you can also come and do these little round circles. And then when I come through with the ink, I can add a little bit more more definition to them. So they look more like a flower. Okay, let's get the yellow in here. Whoops, I was going to make them to like a rose, but that's okay. We'll make them into more like a daisy. And I like to just kind of add some little dots around, make it look more magical. Okay. Then I'm going to use the white again and add it, lighten up a little bit too. Whoops. Actually, I might come in here and kind of add some little white dots around the outskirts of her. I like that look. Kind of glow. She kind of glows a little bit. I hear my dog. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not. See if my daughter opens the door. Oh goodness, no, she's not. Okay. Okay, we're going to let that dry, and I'm going to go let my dog in, and then we're going to come back through and ink, and then we'll be done. Alright, Alright, you guys, so to wrap this painting up, I'm just going to come through here and just actually outline just like this. So I didn't want to like have to do the whole outline while you guys waited. I know I'm not sure how long this video has been going on, but I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what I mean by outline. And with mixed media, what I love about it is it doesn't have to be just perfect. But I did want to emphasize, I did want to go over the eyes, because this is probably the most challenging part, I would say, to outline. So excuse my hand, I'll see if I can do it while you're watching on camera. But I'm going to just kind of follow her eyes. Oh, let's see, how's that looking? She's looking like she's got some really big eyes. That's why it's kind of... And I like to, sometimes if I go over the top, I like to put some eyeliner on her. Might need to fill that in a little bit. Fill that top part in with some blue paint right there. And then with her hair, I kind of outline, and then I just do these little wispies in here. That. Especially the chin. I just kind of do an outline. And then for this is where the flowers, you can really like make them kind of stand out by just doing little circles and kind of around them, just to give them some definition look to them. I know it's probably kind of hard to see with my hand right there. But you kind of get the idea where you're just, I like to outline everything. It really makes such a difference on the final look of the girl. I'd even come in here and outline the house again. Oh, let's get our nose here. Had to push the paper down a little bit. Now, one thing I don't really outline too much is like the mouth. I have in the past, but if it looks fine, then I don't worry about it. Let's see if I can come in here and add a little bit more eyeliner on her, and maybe I won't have to come back through with the blue. You can also do this with paint. I use this Micron 08. Sorry. Yes, my dog's chewing on things. He hasn't quite grown out of that. A lot of times he does it for attention. So yeah, so I'm just going to come in here and finish this out. Maybe do some outline on the flowers. And then I saw this in the bin, part of the kit, the house set. That was the name of the Let's Stay Home, and that's what it's called. And I thought, well, you know what, instead of doing more writing, which I could do on this page here, especially because I kind of want to keep it updated on when we were kind of got back to our normal. I don't know if it's going to be normal, so to speak, but so I thought about, because they are still wanting us to stay home pretty much. Just opening up a few more things. So I'll probably just come in here and glue those down in there. And then the other thing, I have my, you know how I love my sparkles. So I thought I would come in here and just kind of go over this dress a little bit. It almost reminds me of a kimono. Am I saying that correctly? And just kind of come in here with the, and add, of course, add some little sparkles to the page. I think that looks really pretty. Maybe even add a little bit of sparkle to the house. That's what I love about these markers, is they cover really well. But that's just it. They are adding glitter to the page. It's not over, you know, where it overtakes the design behind it. I can add it to the little yellow pieces in her hair. Add a little sparkle. Alright, so I'm going to finish that outline and I'll come back through and show one more final picture, and then that will be a wrap. The other thing that I actually thought about doing, but I don't have the stuff out here for it, is I thought about coming in and adding stamps. You could add stamps to the background, which is another one of my favorite kind of things that I like to do to these art pieces, is just kind of add things in the background. But that may be something I do once I come in and actually journal on this page. But alright, you guys, I hope you're inspired to add paint to your journal, and thanks again for your patience with the drying times and all those good things. And you guys, I'll see you in my next video. Alright, you guys, so I ended up adding this little, you know, my glitterific stuff that I like so much. And let me show you a close-up. I just basically put it around her. But there you have it, all this shimmery, sparkly, stay home. I didn't go back in and do anything with her eyes. And then when I put the stay home on there, I just colored it in with the pink glitter markers. So, alright, you guys, thanks for watching.